What's up, guys? Welcome back to LW Autohead channel. And right now, today we're going to do a coolant flush on my 2001 Volkswagen Jedi. Part of a maintenance on your car that you have to do at least every year. But I basically just do it every year, to try to make sure the coolant stay fresh and it's the right boiling point, and the hoses don't disintegrate over time. They just stay in strong, right shape, and they don't start leaking and stuff like that. So yeah, so this is the car I'm working with, right? This is my first car. I got this car when I was 16 years old, kind of like a racing car. uh, Came with these rims. um, right now it has kind of like a converter problem, and on top of that, it has a cracked windshield from being parked under that tree right there where my other car is. Anyways, I don't plan on keep on parking there forever. Usually that's where I do my videos. But yeah, so I'm gonna do a coolant flush today. Of course, I got my funnel, and I got the 50/50 pre-diluted coolant. This is for European cars, Volkswagen, as you can see right there. And then the cars, you do gotta make sure you're using the right kind of coolant, and your owner manual tells you, or you can look it up on Google. But basically that's what I'm doing today, and I haven't jacked up the car yet, so I'm gonna do that. I already showed you guys in the previous video on how to jack up your car. I'm gonna jump it since I don't drive it. It's been sitting. I'm gonna jump it and then start to do the coolant flush. Now I already did coolant flush on this car, and I did it on it like multiple times every year, like, as I said. And the coolant is new, so I'm gonna doing this for you guys. I'm gonna flushing it, to show you guys how to maintain your car by flushing your coolant, so that way you don't have problems down the road when you're driving on the highway or somewhere that's far away from your house. That will cost you a lot of money for towing if your car breaks down. Just jumped it earlier. Pretty much I'm using this jump box right here. I bought this off eBay. It's pretty nice. So when you jump in a car, basically you got to make sure you put the positive on the positive terminal on the battery, and then the negative on somewhere on the body, on the chassis, when you jump in the car. Because before, on older cars, a lot of people used to jump it from putting the positive on the positive post on the battery and the negative on the negative post on the battery. But nowadays, there's a lot of computers in cars, in newer cars, and doing that can mess up some of the computers. So you want to at least make sure that, just like that. Same way when you also jump in another person's car, the one with the dead battery, you want to make sure you do that on there. So the one with the dead battery, you want to put the positive on the battery positive, and the negative on the body of the dead body car. Okay, so that's what you want to, if you know what I'm saying. That's what you're gonna have to do, so you don't fuck up a computer or fry something on your car and make it worse. So yeah, that's it right there. I'm gonna let it run. It's running like crap, so I don't drive it. It pretty much just parks here. So it's my project car, and I'm learning on it. Yeah, I already jacked up the car, and I'm just gonna drain the coolant from the radiator drain plug. I'm gonna show you guys that. So first, you just want to relieve the reservoir, coolant reservoir. Once you have ran the car and let it cool down, I want to drain, loosen up the coolant reservoir right there. And then the drain plug for this car, it's right there. That's the drain plug, and it has this knob on here. So you twist it and pull it. So basically, so as you see right there, it's draining down. You just want to let it all drain out, and then I put the flush and fill solution in the reservoir, and then I'll put water in there and flush. I'm doing a quick 10-minute flush. You could do a heavy flush, which is running the car for like, I think, 20 minutes. This one is only 10 minutes after you put the flush and fill in there, and then you can run the car for like 10 minutes with the with the heater on high. And then after that, you want to drain it again and put the 50/50 coolant mix, antifreeze coolant mix, pre-diluted in there. After it drains out, I'm just gonna put this flush, this flush plus cleaner kit in there. The directions in the back, you can read the direction and follow it depending on what you want to do. Doing the coolant flush, one of the best way to do it is to replace the thermostat, just so you can prevent the thermostat from going out later on. But I usually don't do that. See right now it's dripping little. It's not that much, so I'm just gonna close it up and yeah, and then do the other steps. But that's it. You just push it in. You can push it in and twist it. I think you don't even have to twist it. You just gotta push it out and push it in just like that. But this is a Volkswagen, so other cars it might be different. Other cars you might need a flathead screwdriver to unscrew it. They have a smaller drain plug than this. This is a little bigger drain plug, so it's a lot easier on this car. But yeah, so that's that part. Take this flush and cleaner and pour in this right here, just like that. Pour the whole bottle in there. So that's it, guys. So you just want to pour this in here like that, just like that. Fill it all the way up. You want to fill it up to the minimum. I'll put a little more in there with water, and water do evaporate a lot quicker than coolant, so I'm pretty much going to fill it all the way up. Yeah. I'm going to do that and close it up, and then start the car. Well, of course, before I start the car, I gotta jump it again, because with this car the battery is pretty much dead. It's been sitting for so long, for like a whole year, and the battery is dead. So with the jumper cable, the first one is always the positive. When you're connecting them, it's the positive, and then the negative is next. So that's what you want to do. Negative, you put the negative on the body, somewhere on the chassis right here, and of course you want to turn it on, stuff like that, and then you can jump the car. So now you see the security alarm is sounding, and you can start it. So this car has a really high mileage. I had this car for a very long time. It has let me see if I can focus right there, 253,000 mileage, and the check engine light is flashing because of the catalytic converter, guys. That's why usually why it flashes, because of the emission system. So that's why the check engine light is flashing. But anyway, so we're running the car now. I'm gonna turn the heater on all the way high and put the fan on high. Right. And you want to put it onto the vent position right there. And for 10 minutes, so I'm gonna put the timer on for 10 minutes. We're gonna let the car run, and it pretty much is gonna run through the hose and clean out, the dirt in there, rust. They're gonna clean out some rust, and yeah, it should be better after everything. But yeah, that's what you want to do. You pretty want to make sure you flush it like that. You could do the heavy flush. It says it on the bottle how to do the heavy flush. You go through the steps. It says it on the flush and clean bottle. So you can go. So I do have this tester which tests the concentration point and the boiling point. So it tests those two. I'm just gonna submerge this. This is the coolant that was in the car. Alright, so just like that. Alright, that was my third try. But anyways, as you can see right now, according to the reading, I do have negative, you guys can see. Let me see if I can focus this. That's like negative 45. That's the boiling point, and the concentration pretty good. It's a good coolant, and of course I always change my coolant. So all right guys, 30 more seconds and we will be done pretty much with the flush and clean solution. And then I'm just gonna put fresh water in there from the faucet and flush that out too, and then put the the coolant mix in there, and that should be it. Alright guys, that's it. 10 minutes. Time for the car cool down. Once you're done running the car for 10 minutes, you want to make sure it cools down first before you try to drain the coolant out, because of course you don't want to get scorched with the hot coolant. You want to be aware of that. Same thing with the reservoir cap. It boiled up, so if you do just remove it, it will flash out, and it might scar you, burn your skin and stuff. So you want to be careful of that too. Just some precautions note you want to be aware of. You don't want to hurt yourself trying to fix your car. At least give it like maybe like, I don't know, 15 minutes to let it cool off. The way you can find out is with the upper radiator hose. You want to squeeze it to see pressurized, and it feels kind of hard a little. So you want to make sure it's soft, like softer, before you open up this cap right here. You want to open up this cap before you start draining it out down there. Relieve the pressure first before you start draining it out. It's a lot more easier. It will flow a lot more better out that way. Alright guys, so it's 5 minutes. I'm not going to wait till 10 minutes just because the car, this is a quick flush, so the car was only ran for like 10 minutes. It's not that hot, and it's pretty breezy out today, so it gets cool faster. So I'm just gonna open this reservoir cap right here, like slowly. You want to do it slowly, and you want to make sure you get your face out of the way before you do that. So you want to open it a little bit and then wait a little bit, open it a little bit, relieve the pressure slowly before you open it. So yeah, that way it's safer that way. So as you can see right here, the coolant was mixed from the engine, because even though you flush the car, it's not all the coolant that you get out. There's still coolant running through the engine before it gets to the hose. So pretty much what you flush out first is the coolant from the hose to the engine. You don't flush out the whole entire coolant because there's coolant passageways in the engine block, and it's kind of tough to flush all those coolant out of the passageways. That's why you want to do it over, do another flushing over, and twice or 3 times, just to make sure all the old fluid, all the old coolant came out, and then you put the new coolant in there. It's the same thing with the power steering fluid that I was doing. It's kind of like the same way, but pretty much I'm just gonna drain this the same way to drain it. Is the same thing again. What you can do is you can grab the hoses and press the hose, and then make the water come down faster, as you can see. So that's another thing you can do. You can do it from any side. This is the lower radiator hose. You can do it from the upper radiator hose too, and it will be the same thing. I'll show you guys right here. This is the upper radiator hose, so you can grab it as well and just squeeze it, and it will come out a lot faster. Like I said, if you want to do this properly, you would have to take out the thermostat, which is right there for this car. This is the thermostat right here. You have to take it out. It do take longer if you have to take out this thermostat, and then flush the car out while the thermostat is out of the housing. That way it flows better, and you have to clean out the engine a lot more thoroughly than you would if you had left the thermostat in there. You can also reverse flush it by putting the water hose, disconnecting this, and then putting the water hose in here with like a shop towel or a paper towel around the water hose, and then flushing water in here to flush out the engine block a lot cleaner. And then you can reverse it and flush out the radiator, put it in here and flush out the radiator too. You could do that too. Makes it a lot more, a lot cleaner flush than what I'm doing. I'm just doing a quick flush right now, so that's why I'm not doing all of those. But you can do that depending on how old your car is too. If you never did a coolant flush on your car, your best bet is to do that, so at least your engine block been cleaned out, the coolant is not rusted or dirty or anything like that. It's been really cleaned out. So that's another thing you could do. Anyway, all right guys, so I did put regular tap water in there, and now that's what's getting cleaned out, running through the engine right now. I just wanted to say another good tip would be if you use distilled water, because distilled water is a lot more cleaner than regular water when you're flushing it out. But distilled water is just more expensive. Just buy like two gallon or 4 gallons of distilled water and use that to clean out, flush out your old coolant with distilled water. That would be like the best bet when you were cleaning it out. I think I did it on my Volkswagen before, but you know, I don't like spending money like that, so I'm using regular water today. Another good thing is that let's say if you don't have a reservoir on your car like some Hondas do, that they have one of those radiators with the cap where you can you know, drain. You can flush. I mean, you can fill out the coolant there, and you can, when you drain out the coolant, you can fill out the coolant from the radiator cap. When you have one of those, pretty much you need a funnel, like a big wide open funnel. When you're filling it out, you need like a round bigger than this one. A big round open funnel bigger than that. They have them on either Amazon or eBay. You can get one of those. Just look for the you know, no reservoir radiator, a reservoir-less radiator, or something like that. Just search for that, and then you can use a big funnel and then use that to fill up the reservoir, because it's really hard to fill up the reservoir on those cars. There you need to run the car with the funnel on there to you know, to let out the air in the system when you're doing those cars. I might do a video on one of those cars if I happen to get one of them. It's not that hard. It's almost the same for every car, guys. So just be careful of getting burned, and you know, do it right. Take your time, have enough time to do it, and you'll be okay, and you save yourself a bunch of money. All right, important tip, guys. So when you drain out your coolant, don't spill it on the floor. It's against the law to you know, waste coolant on the floor, because it could go in the drain and you know, cause a lot of sickness and disease and kill a lot of fish when it runs down to the ocean or lake or river or whatever. Yeah, so you want to make sure you keep it in like a bucket. You keep it sealed somewhere, or you know, put it somewhere in your house until you're able to take it to a landfill, or you could, you know, call your the wasteland, or somewhere you know, the waste, and be able to dispose of it better. You just don't want to you know, spill it on the floor and stuff like that. Same thing with the engine oil. The engine oil, you can take it to like AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts, and they'll get rid of it. And that's an important tip, guys. Just don't spill it on the floor. Be careful of that. You could get fined for that. All right, folks, I did ended up waiting 10 minutes to let the car run with the just pure water in there, with the tap water in there, and let it run for 10 minutes. I guess since you're not driving it, you don't really need to worry that much about the water vaporizing, because water do vaporize faster than coolant. So if you were driving it, let's say if you had a coolant leak and you end up putting water in there in the reservoir, which is okay, which is a small leak, and you want to get your car home, you know, without overheating your engine and destroying your engine, then you could put bottled water in there, go to a store, buy bottled water, or just if you happen to have water in your car already, pour it in there to get you home. If you have, you know, I recommend carrying extra coolant gallon with you in the trunk, just in case if that ever happens. That's why I do, because I did have a problem with my Volkswagen when I first bought it. It had a leak with the coolant hose that ran through the block to the heater core. So I had that problem, and I had to use water to get me home. I wasn't that far away from home, but I had to use water. But the water did vaporize fast, and the car did overheat. But every time it happens, I pull over, wait for the car to cool down, and then turn it back on and drove it again. You could put your heat on when that happens, when your car starts overheating. Put your heat on, and it will help your car not to overheat. You would think it will actually have an opposite effect, but it actually helps. It actually keeps the car from overheating less than it would if you put your AC on. Don't put your AC on, put the heat on to help your car if you ever have, you know, your car overheating. All right, so the car, I'm gonna wait now for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or 10 minutes again, and you know, wait for it to cool down before I open the reservoir cap and proceed to drain out the water. Yeah, so that's what you have to do. Just wait for it to cool down. Don't be in a rush. Make sure you have enough time to do this. It takes about, I would say, 30 minutes to get this done properly, you know, with 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. I waited for 7 minutes, and I'm just gonna drain out the water from out the reservoir, and then put the new coolant in there. Don't forget to relieve the pressure from the reservoir cap. Just like that. I'm going to do it slowly, so that way the pressure can release steadily and it won't just spill out. As you can see, the steam coming out of there, that is really hot, so you don't want to get burned with that. Same thing like before. We just pull this out, and yep, make sure the water is in the bucket, and that's it. It's kind of hot. I try to feel it. It's hot. You don't want to get scorched with that. All right, guys, we're almost done, and that will be it. Once that's done, I'm just gonna fill it up, and that will be it. Alright, it's pretty much done. You could take out this reservoir and wash it out clean if you want to. I already did it for this, but you know, it gets dirty really fast. But so I'm not gonna do it again. I'll do on the next coolant flush if I ever end up doing that. But you could do that too. This one is not that hard. This does have screws on there that you have to take off. You gotta take off that screw right there. This is for this car. Other cars, there might be different locations. And then there's a screw right down, let me see if I can focus. Yeah, there's a screw right down there that you're gonna have to take out as well. Right there, you're gonna have to take out. And once you take out those two screws, you take out this connector and it just pulls out. Also take out this hose as well. Take out that hose, and that should be it. And you should be good. So make sure you don't forget to close the drain plug when you're, you know, done flushing it out, so it don't spill when you start filling out the reservoir. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm just gonna fill it up and take the car down, and that should be it. All right, guys, so pretty much done draining out that water that was in the car, that was in the reservoir in the engine. So I'm gonna end up just putting this coolant 50-50 mix in there. This is 1 gallon 3.7 in the 3.7 liter. So if you had your owner's manual, you can find out exactly how much coolant the engine takes. But if you don't want to look it up or look at your owner's manual, you can just pour as much coolant as you can in there to the reserve, to the minimum. Right here, the reason you want to pull it to the minimum, and most cars have this too, you want to put it all the way up to the minimum, the cars that have reservoir, because when the car is on and running, it fills up all the way here. So that's where you want to keep it stay. That's the cold mark. Some cars will have cold and hot. This one that has minimum, so you want to fill it up to this mark right there, and then run the car. When you do run the car after a coolant flush, some of the coolant is going to go down. So then you want to shut off the car and then, you know, wait a little bit, and then pour more coolant in there. And that's another reason you want to carry like a bottle of coolant with you. But yeah, but this is a different color. I'm glad I took out the colors, guys. It's not good to mix coolant colors. So if you're gonna change the color, you want to do the coolant flush first before you change the colors. All right. This one is it's a blue coolant. I never seen this color before. I seen an orange and a green. Of course, there was a green in there. So that's what you want to do. But you can see right here, it's almost at the mark. I'm gonna wait a little bit. It's gonna drain down, and pour a little more in there. So you just want to keep an eye on that mark. Fill it up, just like that, and then wait it up a little bit, and it's gonna drain out. Drain down a little bit, and you want to start the car at 2. Once you think it's steady at that mark, start the car and run the car, and it's going to drain down a little more, and then you want to fill it up and put it there and put at the mark. So I'm just going to put a little more in there, so it looks like it's past the mark a little bit, but it's still there. I'm going to close it now, and then start the car, run the car. and wait for it to drain down a little bit, and then fill it up to the mark and turn off the car. Alright, so I started the car. You just want to let the car run for a little bit and watch that mark. And sometimes it don't go down, but if it does go down, you can always put more coolant. That's why, like I said, you want to keep a bottle of coolant in your trunk. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that because I don't drive this car anywhere. I'm not driving it right now until I fix that catalytic converter problem and the windshield problem. But yeah, that's it. And thank you for watching. This video is very long. I'll try to include as many information as I could. I know that's taking out some ideas for other videos in the future, but I will try to come up with some smart ideas and try to make more videos. But I don't have, like I said, I don't have that many skill level. I'm not at that pro skill level, but I am getting there. You guys can put down any suggestions, any advices about flushing coolant that I know there's a lot of smart mechanics out there that already have the experiences already. But yeah, just comment, subscribe, like, share too. You know the drill. Just do what you have to do to support. Thank you for watching. Till next time.